there's nothing like a live screening, to see something in front of a live audience. I'm really glad to be at the historic Colonial Theater. This place is like 100 years old or something. I mean, come on, the Blob. One of the most famous monster movies of all time was filmed right up there on that balcony. And part of your ticket goes to restoring this historic theater. And that's what I'm all about, is preserving film history and always dreaming to make some film history of my own.
You idiot. That is not a dry roll.
I know, I tried. What do you want me to go to fucking Greece?
Bottom drawer.
So, yeah, you want to talk about E.T. for a minute? So, as you've seen at the end of that video, E.T. is a game that I've gotten more requests for than any other game ever. It's called the worst video game of all time, which is probably about as true as Plan 9 from Outer Space being the worst movie of all time, but hey, you know, it's the worst game of all time. So, does anybody know the story about the Atari landfill and all that? Should I tell it again, though, just for the hell of it? All right, let's do it. So, okay, in the early 80s, Atari was pumping out video games nonstop. They wanted to make games faster and cheaper. So when they made a game based on the biggest blockbuster movie of that year, they decided, let's give it to one guy to design the whole game and just rush it out before the Christmas shopping season. And the end result was a game that was very ambitious and ahead of its time, but it alienated gamers who couldn't figure out how the hell to play it. I've actually heard that they over-manufactured it to the point where there were more E.T. games in existence than there were Atari 2600 consoles to play them on. So when this thing flopped, all the stores shipped them back to Atari, and they had this overstock of some obscene amount, like 2 million cartridges or something, that they had to get rid of. So what did they do? They buried them out in the desert in Alamogordo, New Mexico, which happens to be close, well, a couple hours away from Roswell, New Mexico, the landing site of a different kind of E.T. The story was so great, I had to base the nerd movie around it. I could have done the review way early and just got it out of the way, but when I thought about it all and the potential, I figured this has to be the nerd movie. So this is what was, all the wait was for. And I collaborated with an old high school buddy of mine, Kevin Finn, to make the film together. And we wrote it together and spent many years. And when it came time to shoot it, we realized that it's a little bit too epic and ambitious to feasibly shoot, and that's where the fans came in to make it possible. So now we shot the majority of it in the spring, just this past year, and now that it's kind of pretty close to the 30th anniversary of the E.T. game, we figured, hey, let's get the trailer out now. So enjoy the trailer, because for a little while there's not going to be. We got a lot of work left to do in the film, so. Enjoy the trailer for now. And I guess the biggest question I'll just get out of the way first is when's the movie coming out and where can you see it? We're hoping for summer 2013 for it to be finished, but like all independent films, it just takes forever, you know. It took us like 2 months just to finish that trailer there, so it'll take several more months to get the movie done. But we're hoping for summer 2013. And where can you see it? Eventually, we're going to get it on the DVD and Blu-ray, hopefully, so all that. That's the first step. So we want to do more of this, more of live screenings before we eventually release it to the world. And this is kind of like an experiment tonight. So that's really one of the big reasons for having this tonight is doing this as an experiment and seeing how much we can do. And because we're going to need to do this a whole bunch more times and show it around. Hopefully go on tour with it. Around the country, around the world maybe, but eventually in the long run it'll go on DVD, Blu-ray, maybe a digital download of some kind. So we're looking into that as an option, but for now we're just trying to get the movie done. That's the big goal. And big thanks goes to my wife for organizing all this, as she booked the theater and did all that kind of stuff. Mrs. Nerd. Where is she, by the way? Is this cool? Okay, so, I got married many years ago, and it came sort of out as like a rumor kind of thing, like eventually it kind of surfaced. I don't usually talk about my personal life that much, but I figure you're all here, so I might as well let you in on a little more inside scoop, because you're going to find out eventually. I'm going to be a dad. Yes. Yeah, there's a young nerd on the way. I guess the next question everybody asks if it's going to be a boy or a girl. We don't know yet. I don't care, as long as it's one or the other. And then people ask if I'm shitting my pants. Yeah, I guess we're going to need some diapers for me too. So, so all that going on and trying to finish the movie. So,
I know your childhood when I watched your 200 Cinemassacre video and your 301, and I gotta say, that's very touching.
Thanks, I appreciate that a lot.
Hey, hi, I've been a fan for many years. Actually, real quick, this question's for Mike. You played the Cowardly Lion, a bunch of side characters. Are you to play any kind of character in the movie as far as?
You would have to ask him.
I think. You know what? It's funny. We never even talked about it yet, but I think he's going to end up in the movie accidentally somehow, because that's how it always happens.
I had a question about the Nintendo World Championship episode. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the cartridges you smashed were not the originals, and it looked like the gray card, one of you two actually owned it. And then my question was, did either one of you actually own the gold card? Or did you just kind of take a Legend of Zelda and take a crappy piece of paper on your gold?
Yeah, well, both that's true, because Pat owned the gold card and the gray card. He's nuts. That's why. But at the end, it was a Zelda cart at the very end of the video, because we obviously didn't want to destroy the real cartridges. It was a Zelda and a Top Gun, and then we put the fake labels over it. And the fake labels actually looked better than the real ones, because they weren't 20 years old and had dried glue on the edges.
For the Atari Jaguar, did you ever get it to work?
Oh yeah, the CD unit, right? Yeah. Eventually somebody sent me a working CD unit, and I played it. A lot of the games are the same ones that are on 3DO. They're ports of arcade games or something, and then some of the games on it are just like, there isn't really a lot to say about it. There was a Highlander game I played, so I need to play more games on it before I ever do any kind of video.
You've got so many great characters, man. You've got Angry Video Game Nerd, Board James, Bullshit Man. I love them all. Shit Pickle, love it. First of all, are there any characters that we haven't seen that you plan on making films about? Or second part, is there any future for any of those other characters? Is it pretty much the nerd from here on out?
Oh, like having a movie or bringing them to the next level in some kind of way. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Board James or something. I'm not sure. Like right now, it's just the nerd. All the other ones will live on in some way, and the nerd will always live on.
I know that you're a big fan of American Movie, myself included.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you ever had a chance to meet those guys, Mark and Mike.
No, I haven't. I'd love to, though.
Yeah.
I feel I have a lot in common with them, especially Mark, probably because of all the filmmaking and a lot of the just the ideas he has. Like he just has that natural drive. That's the thing about filmmaking. Like you either if you have that feeling inside, like, oh, I got to make a movie, you're a filmmaker. There you go. That's my take on it.
My question is, now with the movie that's eventually going to be coming out, I'm assuming that AVGN is going to be slowing down. Does that mean we'll be seeing more of your sort of independent original films, such as like local? One of my personal favorites is Spearman, actually. So, are we going to be seeing any more of that, or?
Yeah, I hope so. As far as like more of them, like I don't think there's going to be a sequel to Beer Man or anything like that, but there'll be, like, I've always wanted to do more of the Jersey Odysseys, the first one being the Blue Hole that you liked. I've always wanted to do more of those. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'd like to make, so maybe the nerd is just going to be a little more frequent, but still, even the nostalgia stuff is always going to go on. Like, I'll always be talking about games, I'm always going to be talking about movies and stuff. It's all about just keeping old stuff alive.
What is your favorite part of the filmmaking process? Starring, writing, editing?
I really like them all, but I think maybe if I picked one, I guess it's the editing, because it feels like that's when the movie is actually coming together. It's satisfying when you're editing because you just see it all being finished.
I want to know, how often do you play games for fun still? And did you collect video games before you became the nerd, or really after you became the nerd, did it start like piling up?
Yeah. How did I get all that stuff? Well, a lot of it he gave me, but I had my whole game collection for Nintendo is probably like a shoebox, like just a shoebox full of NES games, and some of it I got from my next door neighbor over there, actually. I sold a lot of them off when I went to college because I needed the money. Like I always say, I sold Contra for $7 to get a sandwich one time. And I'll never remember that sandwich, but I'll always remember Contra. So when the Nerd Series started, I sort of just, people started offering to send me games. So, and that's when it all started again. So I started getting a lot of it from fans and a lot of it from eBay. So if I needed a game that I needed to do a video of, I would buy it on eBay.
Alright, one more question. Aside from video games, does anything else just piss you off? Like, do you cook, burn yourself, and say, just go to fuck?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, this hurricane recently was a big shitload of fuck, I'll tell you that.
Howard Warshaw is involved in the movie. You want to talk to me more about that?
Yeah, the guy who made E.T., Howard Scott Warshaw, made Yar's Revenge and Raiders of the Lost Ark, well, when the movie eventually comes out, you'll see him in there. He's got a pretty good cameo.
I saw, on Wikipedia or whatever, there was a film you made that was like lost or whatever, but can you give us a little more info on that?
There are a lot of films I have that are lost. I don't know which one I could have been talking about, but most of the films I made that are lost for good reasons. But The biggest one I can think of, there was a movie that I made that was like 2 hours long, so I guess technically it's my first feature, if you want to call it that. It was called Spirit, and it was basically like a ripoff of Ghostbusters, and I made that in like '92, and yeah, and I recorded over it because I needed another tape to film something else on, so that was the way I was.
And I was wondering if you had considered or looked into getting any of the artists that you enjoy to contribute music to you.
The trailer music right there that you just saw tonight, thanks for reminding me, was done by Bear McCreary, who does Battlestar Galactica and The Walking Dead. So he put that all together with that, like, you hear like the 8-bit NES kind of music mixed with the rock music and orchestra and everything. It was a really great hybrid that he did.
Is the movie not, there's still lots of filming to do?
We didn't get to film all of it in California, so there's a lot left that has to be filmed. And what's a lot different now is that when we were in California, it was like a bunch of people all filming for every day for like a month and a half. Now it's kind of all like just our personal time, so now everybody's just trying to make it like on their spare time now. So, and the holidays are going to slow it down even more because the holidays are a really busy season.
Movies based on video game adaptations, do you really think they're total failures and there's some that are good?
Because like when I was growing up, most of the games I played, like they didn't really know how to make video game movies at all back then. When they made Super Mario Brothers, it was a big deal. It was like, this is the first like video game movie, and then you go to see it and you're like, this is nothing like the game at all. And then yeah, I think the first one that came out that I was actually like, okay, this is what I expect, is Mortal Kombat. Thank you.
With that said, if it is assuming it is a boy or a girl, is there a game that you wouldn't let them watch or play?
A game that I would not let them play? Plumbers don't wear ties.
He's gonna take you back to the past to play the shitty games of seconds. You can have a buffalo, take a diarrhea dump in his ear. You gotta eat the rotten asshole of a roadcut skunk and down it with beer. He's the angriest kid.
You have inspired me to become a filmmaker, and I love your movie Legend of the Blue Hall.
Oh, thank you.
So I have this Blue Hall water. This is actual water from the Blue Hall.
Yes?
We went there because we're completely
Really?
insane.
Interesting, wow. And then it also proves how clear the water is.
Yes.